Sauce it or toss it. Sauce it or toss it. Sauce it or toss it.
All right, Arashi, are you ready for the hit game that's sweeping the nation?
Is it the Major Baseball Association?
Major League Baseball presents Sauce It or Toss It.
Nice.
All right, Arashi. Sauce it or toss
sorry. Quick question.
Oh.
Should we have for Sauce and Toss It, should we have a pitch clock?
I would love Arash, I love you, but I would love a pitch clock on Arash.
Yeah,
Hey!
hey, what would you do without me? You
I'd be a nothing burger, but
You wouldn't even know about Iranian food. You wouldn't even know what a kebab was. Anyway, sauce me, baby.
Sauce it or toss it, Arash. The Western Conference will win the Stanley Cup.
Oh God, no! I'm gonna toss it.
Really?
I thought, yeah. I think there are some teams in the East that are so frightening. Boston, of course, being one. The Rangers being another, Toronto, even if Tampa gets their shit together, when we look at teams top to bottom, there's just so many teams that have 2 to 3 amazing forwards. They have the 1D and they have the 1A goalie.
Totally.
Right? So Rangers have Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, Kane, Tarasenko, Trocheck, whatever, Fox, Shesterkin, whatever, going down. Boston has Boston. So, and then when I look at the West, it's just, I don't know, there's some teams that are really good. Edmonton, really good. And that Ekholm trade, oh my God. Great trade. Amazing trade. But again, it's is Stuart Skinner the 910? Is he the boy? We'll see.
Sauce it or toss it, Arash. Besser, Garland, Myers will not be traded this offseason.
Toss it. There's no way. What? You mean all three?
Yeah.
Oh, I think one of them comes back. I think I would, from what I saw, I would expect Connor Garland to be back. I know people are kind of harping on it, but he played really well down the stretch run, and I think he has experience with Rick Tocchet and played the way that Rick Tocchet wants him to play. Besser, I just really think 2 years left at 6.6, and someone's like, hey, he scored 55 points. It's not like he's just out there scoring 15 goals, 15 assists. And Tyler Myers is a tricky one just because his bonus kicks in September. So does he start? Teams are going to be spending their money. But maybe I just feel maybe before the season there's a team that wants to get under the cap or wants to get over the cap or whatever, or needs that additional piece, and Myers will be flipped for that.
Let's hope. Sauce it or toss it, Arash. Ron Hextall will never be a general manager again.
Toss it. Come on, this is the NHL.
But he's had 2 abysmal runs, oddly enough, both in Pennsylvania.
I just feel people are going to be well, they love their old glory workhorses.
Yeah.
They're but it's Ron Hextall.
Folk hero. You touched on it earlier. I agree.
It's the folk hero thing, right? You can screw up. It's it's weird. It's almost like the first round pick syndrome, where it's players of first round pick will even into their 30s will be he's still got potential. He's a first round pick.
He was scouted that high for a reason.
It's just I'll. Hey, I talked to a few people, and they told me that you should have went in the third round. How are you gonna react? That's my favorite. We should have a segment called "How Are You Gonna React?" with Babs.
I mean, I'm just thinking of the plethora of merchandising options that are flowing through my brain right now. How are you gonna react?
How are you gonna react?
Speaking of how are you gonna react, sauce it or toss it, Arash. Toronto wins in 7. 48 hours later, face Boston, who's been sitting around for a week after sweeping Florida.
Oh, sauce it to hell, dude. Oh man, can you imagine? Wait, no, I'm just clicking it together where I'm like, can you imagine the high of Toronto winning in 7? And that city, like the jubilation of that city. This is, how do I recognize it? This is like in a video game where you beat the boss at the end, and it, like, the boss has killed you a bunch of times, and you beat the boss, and people who play Japanese role-playing games will know what I'm talking about, where you beat the boss and you think that was the last boss, and then after you beat it, it's like, actually, there was an even greater evil, and you're like, what? I could barely kill the second to last guy. Now I can't. I gotta fucking kill this last guy. Oh, man.
I just picture, like, Maple Leaf Square goes off, confetti, people are crying, children and their parents are embracing, and then it's just like all of a sudden a Boston Bruins helicopter just comes and they all parachute down like we're here for you. Like, I'll be very happy for them, but my God, what could be waiting around the bend is gonna squash that. It's gonna be one night and they're gonna wake up hungover like, they gotta play the Bruins in like 30 hours.
I have a sauce toss for you very quick.
Sure.
This might end up these playoffs have the potential to be one of the best Stanley Cup playoffs of the modern era.
Absolutely,
Like
sauce.
too.
I sauce that.
Yeah.
There's so many great first round options. There's a shitload of potential second round matchups, and there's sneaky teams in the West. There's very dominant teams that we're well versed in the East. There's going to be a lot, and I think the NHL desperately needs it.
Yep. Amen.
Sauce it or toss it, Arash. Nothing tastes better than a gigantic Ballpark Coors Light that costs $25 more thanks to the U.S. exchange rate.
Yeah, so I definitely went on my credit card today and found out that those two 24-ounce beers that I bought, came to $50.
Yeah, it's a kick in the fanny.
I was glad to do it because you had bought me a beer, and I was like, all right, I gotta be one of the boys, man, you know. But to be fair, like, the reason I was so wasted is because I was like, remember you bought me a Coors Light?
Yeah.
And then I went up to go get garlic fries, and then by the time I got garlic fries, I'm like, oh, I got to go get popcorn and, like, everything else for everyone else. And I had time to wait in the line and eat the garlic fries. And then I also went and got a beer for you and I.
Yeah. And
then, I was drinking, and then you went and bought me another beer.
Oh, that's right.
So I had another beer waiting for me. So it was like fucking 60 ounces of beer, man. It was crazy. I don't know.
$1 for every ounce, it seems.
I don't regret it.
No,
I don't regret it.
Yeah,
we can't do that. We can't do that every game, Seattle Mariners game day. But now I realize how baseball players are rich. Because there's 40,000 people. Like, sorry, okay, we're getting out of tangent. But one thing I realized was, I absolutely understand now that people, a lot, like the amount of young people I saw at a baseball game not giving a shit about baseball.
Yeah.
But by the fact that, like, the stadium was a giant party.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was like a club, and you can go buy like a $7 ticket, and then you're inside with like all people, everyone just getting wasted. And I was like, this is the best open air club I've ever been to.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a whole bachelor party just down by the bullpens where we were for a bit, and just it was one of the best nights ever. Like, it is a great time. Speaking of great times, sauce it or toss it, or Ash. Me, Ryan's border crossing abilities.
I would sauce it. Yeah, you did fantastic. You did great. And I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, like, you were very prepared, but very prepared. Like, you prepared yourself before, which is so interesting. Because in my head, I'm like, as if I was going over the border, I'd be like, all right, ask me what you need to ask me, man. I'm like, I'm staying there. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing in Eugene, Oregon? I don't know. What is anyone doing in Eugene, Oregon? Really, I don't, But yeah, you did a wonderful job, and
Thank you.
Godspeed. Well done.
Sauce it or toss it, Arash. The current NHL playoff format does not work, but the old 1 versus 8 isn't the answer either.
What do you mean by it? Can you clarify a little bit?
People are so critical of the playoff format, the seeding of the first
like
round,
the wild card and stuff.
and Brad Marchand said he didn't like it. So people want changes, but maybe the old format of 1 versus 8 isn't the answer either, and something else needs to be done.
I mean, I'm not really butthurt about it. I would love, like, just again the crazy bird brain in my head. Like the idea if the first seed in the conference could pick their opponent, they'd just be like, oh yeah, like. It came down to the last game of the season where Colorado started Georgiev against, I think, Nashville, was it? Because they didn't want to play Minnesota. They wanted to make sure they won because they really didn't want to play Minnesota. Like, why don't you just be like, yeah, pick your poison, Just pick your poison and see how cool that would get. Like Toronto. Like, how cool would it be if Toronto, like, won the conference and they're like, you know what? Fuck you, give us Boston. Like, and then that would be a babyface move, and everyone would be like, yeah, face your demons. Yeah.
Slay that, attempt to slay that dragon.
Slay that dragon, and then you don't, and then it's Cody Rhodes all over again.
The crowd is here.
Maybe I was misinformed or I forgot that, or maybe I'm just not paying attention, but the 1-game playoff in the NBA.
Yeah, the play-in game.
The play-in game, I think it's appealing, and I like it, and I think that maybe Wild Card 2 in the West and the East could, that's something you play in for, and just really have that spicy option. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I have no issues with the current playoff format either, so I will toss that.
Amen.